Good afternoon, folks. The Hollywood Progressive Team is back with you. This weekend, we saw the premiere of a new play, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. It's a play by Simon Stevens, based on the book by Mark Haddon, directed by Daryl B. Hovis. It plays at the Chance Theater in Anaheim. It plays Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through October 22nd. Very briefly, the story is it introduces us to Christopher Francis Boone, a brilliant and neurodivergent 15-year-old boy who is standing screaming over the body of his neighbor's dog, which has been speared with a garden fork and is dead. Christopher then starts out to find who killed the dog, which sends him on a perilous journey that will ultimately shape the rest of his life. Nia, you said you liked it?
I did say that, and I did. This was a really craftily written play that really takes you on a journey and then ties itself up really neatly at the end, and it makes the beginning part of it make more sense and sit better. I thought this was a really interesting look at what one person who is on the autism spectrum or is neurodivergent may or may not experience. They did a great job of to the best of their ability, showing overstimulation and the feeling of being touched, and all the negative impacts that can have on people. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was quirky. There was lots of laughter. There was some emotional moments that really made you feel. And all the while, it was. I think the playwright said this in the letter in the playbill, but while Christopher was the main character, it was really more a look at the other people in his life and how us, quote unquote, or I would say neurotypical people live our lives and how weird we are, how weird we can be in our own right. Sharon, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it as well. Turns out when it started, I said, this is familiar. In the opening scene where you have this young man standing over a dog that's dead, I thought, golly, I think I've seen this before, which I didn't mention anything to your dad. I just sat there and watched it. And as I saw more of it, I said, oh, yeah, we've definitely seen this before, which was kind of interesting because when we saw it a few years ago, I guess maybe it was about 5 or 6 years ago.
2019.
Oh, 2019. Okay, so then that would have been 4 years ago when we saw it. The thing that was very impressed us the most was the clever usage of actors to portray inanimate objects like walls and doors and so on. So the setting of the stage was very bare, very minimalist. But they used the actors as if they were actually stage settings. And so that was really clever and very interesting and kept you very engaged. But the story itself was engaging enough, in fact. So I really love the portrayal of this character, Christopher Francis Boone, who was acted by, honey, what's the name of the actor? Are we going to go into the actors' names?
Well, I don't have it here.
We're gonna. It'll be written. It'll be down below.
Right.
So the actor who portrayed him did such a convincing job of acting as if he were a 15-year-old who was on the spectrum. He clearly was brilliant in some ways, and then in other ways, he was just out of step with people like, as you say, normal people neurotypical. Thank you, Nia. People that are not on the spectrum, and little funny things like he didn't like the phrase "apple of one's eye" because he thought that was a lie. How can someone be an apple of someone else's eye? It doesn't make sense, and it's nothing but a lie. And I remember being a little kid and learning that my sister, who was a year younger, she must have been about 3, and I'll say I was about 4, that she had gone out with my aunt and they had gotten caught in the rain. And my mother said, oh my gosh, they've been caught in the rain. And I went in the back room and I just sobbed. And the reason I was sobbing is because I was envisioning my sister caught in this big, huge raindrop and just like trying to get out. She's caught in them. And then I thought, I think that, when we're young, we really take things literally. And what this play did, it kind of showed us someone who kind of stays at that level of understanding. And it was just, it was charming. And I think the play did what it sets out to do, which is to help us to empathize with people who are on the spectrum.
Yeah, I think that was a key part of it. So this was kind of looking at the world from the eyes of a boy who was on the spectrum, autistic. Part of the conceit was one of his ways of dealing with the world is to write down all his thoughts and write a book. And basically what the play is, it's a play within the play. It starts off with somebody, a narrator, reading the book that he's writing, and then they start acting out the book. And so there's a lot of clever staging devices. As Sharon said, somebody acts as a ticket machine on the subway, and in the earlier version, 4 or 5 years ago, they had a great deal of that. They had so much of it that it kind of confused the narrative of the story. The basic story is fairly straightforward. How does he deal with the dog? And I mean, a part of the story is he has to deal. I mean, you can see how he ended up dysfunctional. His parents are kind of, I mean, they're portrayed in sort of a positive way, but really they're kind of dastardly in some of the actions that they have taken and continue to take. I did think it was also quite a fascinating play. I love a big part of it was the way that the people, the motion. I mean, and like one clever thing, like a guy flips on a cop's hat and suddenly he's the policeman. Then he takes it off and then he's just a guy walking down the street. I loved all that kind of stuff. Did you have any other thoughts, Nia?
I really enjoyed I think I mentioned this before when I was speaking earlier, but in hindsight, Christopher, of course, was the main character, and you're following him through some pretty terrifying experiences, not just for someone who is neurodivergent, but any young person doing some of these things for the first time completely on their own accord. But it did seem more like there was more importance and more of a spotlight put on how people responded to him, how people reacted to him. Some of the people who were trying to help him and he resisted were very understanding of that and immediately knew what was going on, and other people were not. And it just felt more like a look at human nature as opposed to specifically someone with autism or someone who's neurodivergent and on the spectrum somewhere. Just an interesting little tidbits, and it's a lot. It's not a lot. It's there's a lot of quick scene changes in the beginning, so you got to kind of keep up. But at the end, when it all comes together, all the pieces fit. It all makes sense, and it's just a delightful little experience. Actually, the more I'm looking back on it and thinking about all of the things.
Yeah, and I'd like to put in a plug for the Chance Theater. So we've been to the Chance Theater. Is this our second or third time?
Twice, yeah.
Twice, and each time we really enjoyed the theater. The theater is a little bit of a hike. It's in Anaheim, and we live in Los Angeles, but it's certainly worth it. The crowd is fun. It seems like this theater has a community of people that frequent the theater, and they all seem to know each other. And afterwards they had talk back, which we didn't actually stay for because it's so far. And then we had, got a long drive home. But I would certainly encourage anyone, especially if you live in Orange County, check out Chance Theater in Anaheim.
Yeah, I thought the acting was remarkable, the stage direction. I especially liked the kind of the motion, it's kind of it's a certain kind of play where it isn't really so much the dialogue, it's all the different things they're doing and switching from one part to another. And it actually covers a fair amount of territory. They go various places on this little stage, not so little stage. So that's right. The Curious Incident of the Dog and the Nighttime plays at the Chance Theater through October 22nd. We do highly recommend it. Please do check it out.
So long.